Yo, what's up, everyone? It's Legacy Shinobi here, back with another epic What If. Today, we're diving into what if Naruto was raised by the Nara clan and wielded Katen Kyokotsu. A Naruto x Bleach crossover. Picture this. Naruto, raised by the brilliant strategists of the Nara clan, inheriting their calm intellect and tactical genius. Now, throw in the dual-bladed, reality-bending power of Katen Kyokotsu. How would this change Naruto's path? What kind of shinobi would he become with shadows and illusions at his command? This one's going to be packed with strategy, power, and mind-blowing battles. Before we jump in, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more insane what-ifs. Alright, let's get straight into the story. Prologue. The atmosphere in the Nara household was somber, the kind of stillness that only came after great loss. The air carried the faint smell of herbal tea, freshly brewed by Yoshino Nara, as she prepared for an unexpected guest. It was late in the evening when Jiraiya, the Toad Sage, stepped through the sliding door of the Nara estate, his expression a mixture of sorrow and resolve. In his arms, bundled tightly in a blanket, was a sleeping infant with a patch of messy black hair. Shikaka Nara stood from his seat, his dark eyes narrowing as he took in the scene. Jiraiya-sama? What brings you here so late? Jiraiya shifted uncomfortably, but held his ground. It's about Naruto. His voice was heavy, burdened with responsibility. Minato and Kushina, they were family to me. And with their passing, I can't raise him, not with the life I lead. He needs stability, and I trust you and Yoshino to give him that. Shikaka's sharp mind processed the weight of the request in seconds. The child's cries would be a constant reminder of the Nine Tails rampage. The village's hatred would be relentless. Yet, when Jiraiya handed Naruto over, Shikaka didn't hesitate. He's family too, Shikaka said simply. Minato was like a brother to me. We'll take him in. Yoshino entered from the adjacent room, wiping her hands on her apron. Her eyes softened as she saw the infant, her maternal instincts kicking in immediately. "Oh, you poor thing," she murmured, gently cradling Naruto in her arms. She rocked him, her voice soft but firm. "Don't worry, little one. You're home now. I'll love you as if you were my own." Jiraiya watched the tender moment, relief washing over him. He followed Shikaku to a quieter corner of the room, where the two men sat opposite each other. Shikaku, ever the tactician, cut straight to the point. "Will you be part of his life?" Shikaku's tone was neutral, but his gaze was piercing. Jiraiya hesitated, looking down at his calloused hands. "I can't. The work I do. It's not safe. Not for him. He deserves better than that." Shikaku leaned back, disappointment flickering in his eyes. "You know someday you will have to meet him. I hope he will be willing to forgive you." Jiraiya had no reply. After a few moments of silence, he stood and gave one last look at the sleeping baby in Yoshino's arms before disappearing into the night. For years later, the sun was high over the Nara estate, its golden light filtering through the canopy of trees that bordered the yard. Laughter echoed across the open space as four children, Naruto, Shikamaru, Ino, and Choji, played in the grass. Their giggles and shouts painted a picture of innocence, untouched by the burdens the adults carried. Naruto darted between his friends, holding a small wooden sword in one hand. "I'm the great hero, saving the village," he declared with a grin. "Yeah, right?" Ino shot back, hands on her hips. She had fashioned a flower crown for herself and pretended it was a queen's crown. "You're not even strong enough to save yourself." Shikamaru, ever the strategist, lounged under a tree, watching the chaos unfold. "This is such a drag," he muttered, though he couldn't help the small smile creeping onto his face. Choji, munching on a bag of chips, held a stick like a makeshift spear. "I'll be your sidekick, Naruto. Together, we'll protect the queen." Naruto puffed out his chest. "That's the spirit, Choji. Shikamaru, quit being lazy and help us." Shikamaru groaned, but stood up. "Fine, but if we lose, it's your fault." The children chased each other across the yard, the game evolving into a chaotic mix of roles and rules. Yoshino watched them from the doorway, a tray of drinks and snacks in her hands. "Shikaka," she called, her voice sharp as a whip. "Stop lounging around with your friends and help me carry this." Shikaka sighed, earning chuckles from Inoichi and Choza. "Coming, dear," he muttered, earning a triumphant smirk from Yoshino as she handed him the tray. The men sat on the porch, watching their children play. The mood, light and jovial at first, grew darker as their conversation turned to Naruto. Inoichi lowered his voice. Do you think it was wise for the Hokage to reveal Naruto's Jinchuriki status to the village? Kushina's was kept a secret after all. Shikaka sighed, setting his cup down. It wasn't Hiruzandano's decision. Minato wanted it this way. He hoped Naruto would be seen as a hero, not a monster. Choza frowned, his large hands gripping his drink. For a genius, Minato made some questionable choices. Shikaka didn't respond, his gaze fixed on Naruto, who was laughing as he tackled Shikamaru to the ground. Time will tell, he murmured. As the time went by, Naruto began to dream. In the darkness of his slumber, he often found himself standing before a massive cage. Behind the bars, red eyes glared at him, filled with malice and rage. The Nine-Tails' voice was a deep rumble, echoing in the void. You think you're special, boy? You're nothing but a prison. But those weren't the only dreams. Sometimes he was in a field of tall grass, the wind carrying the scent of flowers. A woman stood before him, her purple pigtails swaying in wind. She wore an eye patch over her right eye. She regarded him with a mixture of annoyance and amusement. About time you showed up, she snapped. Do you know how boring it is waiting for you? Who are you? Naruto would ask, confused but intrigued. She smirked, leaning down to ruffle his hair. That's for me to know, and you to figure out. Now, are we playing or not? They would play games, hide and seek, tag, or sometimes odd games with strange rules he didn't fully understand. Though her words were sharp, her actions were gentle, and Naruto felt safe in her presence. The dreams became more vivid as Naruto grew older, and fragments of memories began to surface. He remembered battles, laughter, and pain. He remembered standing with his swords in hand, shadows swirling at his feet. And he remembered her, always at his side. Katen, though he didn't yet understand the connection, Naruto knew one thing. The woman in his dreams was important. And as his bond with her grew, so too did his resolve to uncover the truth about himself and the power he carried within. Thus began the tale of Naruto Nara, a boy raised in the shadow of loss, surrounded by love and destined for greatness. The Nara estate was alive with laughter and playful shouts, the sounds of childhood joy filling the serene forest that surrounded their home. Naruto sprinted through the courtyard, his wooden sword brandished like a knight's blade, as Shikamaru trailed behind, feigning annoyance. Come on, Shika. You're supposed to be the evil overlord. Naruto grinned, darting behind a tree. Shikamaru sighed and lazily swung a stick. This is so troublesome. Why do I always have to be the bad guy? Because you're too smart to be the hero. Ino chimed in, her hands on her hips as she observed the unfolding chaos. Yes, Shikamaru, Choji added, holding his hands up like he was casting a spell. You're the villain, and I'm the wizard who helps Naruto beat you. Naruto emerged from his hiding spot, pointing his wooden sword dramatically. Prepare yourself, evil overlord. Your reign of terror ends here. The game devolved into a mix of chasing, laughing, and occasional tumbles into the grass. Other Nara children joined in, creating a chaotic but joyful scene. They split into teams, alternating between hero and villain roles, their imaginations transforming the estate into a battlefield of epic proportions. Yoshino, watching from the porch, smiled as she folded a basket of laundry. At least they're burning off their energy, she muttered, shaking her head as Naruto tripped over a root, only to pop back up with an indignant shout. Shikaku, seated nearby, chuckled. They got endless stamina. Makes me tired just watching them. The evenings were quieter, filled with more thoughtful pursuits. Naruto and Shikamaru often joined Shikaku and other Nara clansmen in games of strategy. Shogi and Go pieces were common sights in the estate's gathering room. Naruto sat across from Shikaku one evening, the shogi board between them. His face was scrunched in concentration as he tried to predict Shikaku's next move. Don't overthink it, Naruto, Shikaku said, moving a piece with casual precision. Sometimes the simplest moves have the biggest impact. Shikaku, lounging nearby, chimed in, he's trying too hard. Just let the game flow, Naruto. Easy for you to say. Naruto grumbled, moving a piece. You've been playing this since you could walk. Asuma Sarutobi, who often visited for games and conversation, leaned against the doorframe, observing the match. The kid's got potential, though. He's already better than most grown-ups at Go. You've got a sharp one here, Shikako. Naruto's grin widened at the compliment, but his attention remained on the board. He loved these games, not just for the challenge, but for the chance to bond with his brother, Shikaku, and even Asuma, training in the shadows. By the time Naruto turned 6, his days were no longer just filled with games. Like all Nara children, he began training in the clan's unique shadow-based techniques. The training was rigorous, requiring patience and precision, but Naruto approached it with his usual enthusiasm. Shadow possession jutsu, Shikaku explained during a lesson, isn't about brute force. It's about control, understanding the flow of battle, and outthinking your opponent. Naruto mimicked Shikaku's hand signs, focusing his chakra into his shadow. Slowly, it stretched across the ground, reaching toward a training dummy. Steady, Shikaku instructed. Feel the connection. Don't force it, guide it. The shadow latched onto the dummy, and Naruto grinned triumphantly. Got it, good, Shikaku said with a nod. Now do it 10 more times. Naruto groaned, but complied. Despite his laid-back personality, he was determined to master the technique. On weekends, Naruto often walked through the village with Shikamaru, Ino, and Choji. The four were inseparable, their bond as strong as any team of shinobi. The streets were busy, filled with merchants and villagers going about their day. But as Naruto passed, the friendly chatter turned to whispers. That's him, the Nine-Tails brat. He's dangerous. Why does the Hokage let him run free? Naruto felt the weight of their glares, the unspoken accusations in their eyes. He didn't react, his expression calm and indifferent. The dreams he'd been having, the caged beast, the malevolent voice, had already given him the answers. He knew why they hated him, but he didn't let it bother him. If anything, it only strengthened his resolve to prove them wrong. You okay, Naruto? Ino asked, her voice soft. He smiled at her. I'm fine. Let's keep going. At the academy, Naruto's demeanor was as laid-back as ever. He rarely raised his hand in class, often lounging in his seat with a bored expression. Despite this, his natural intelligence shone through in surprising ways. Irika Yumino, his instructor, often found himself torn between frustration and admiration. Naruto, are you even paying attention? Irika asked one day, noticing the boy staring out the window. Naruto turned back with a lazy grin. Of course, Irika-sensei. You were talking about chakra flow, right? Then explain it to the class. Naruto sighed dramatically, but gave a concise and accurate explanation, earning him a mix of laughter and astonished looks from his classmates. Though he avoided competition, Naruto's relaxed attitude belied a sharp mind that excelled when it mattered most. Naruto's resemblance to Shunsui extended beyond their shared abilities. Like his Zanpakuto-wielding predecessor, Naruto had a mischievous streak that occasionally surfaced in his interactions with others. He wasn't openly perverted, but Yoshino was quick to notice the sly glances he sometimes gave the older kunoichi in the village. Naruto, Yoshino scolded one day, catching him looking a little too long at a passing market vendor. Eyes forward, young man. Naruto chuckled nervously, rubbing the back of his head. Sorry, Mom, you'd better be. I won't have you turning into some shameless lek. Yoshino, he kept his habits in check after that, though Shikamaru occasionally teased him about it. The foundations of Naruto's life were set, filled with love, friendship, and a growing understanding of his own power. But in the shadows of his dreams, a different journey awaited him, one that would shape him into the shinobi he was destined to become. Naruto stood in the Nara clan's garden, the soft rustle of leaves in the breeze calming his restless thoughts. The moon hung high, its pale light casting a serene glow over the estate. His mind wandered to his past life and the bonds he had cherished. Jushiro, old man Yama, he thought wistfully, the ache of longing settling in his chest. He couldn't help but wonder if they, too, had been reincarnated into this strange world. If you're here, Jushiro, I pray you're living a long, healthy life, he whispered to the night. The thought of seeing Jushiro again, free of illness, brought a faint smile to his lips. When Naruto wasn't mastering the Nara clan's shadow techniques, he devoted himself to his swordsmanship. Using a wooden practice sword, he swung with a grace that belied his age. Each movement carried a quiet confidence, as though his body remembered skills he had yet to truly learn. The younger Nara children often gathered to watch him practice, their eyes wide with awe. Shikamaru, however, leaned against a tree nearby, his expression unreadable. "What kind of technique is that?" Shikamaru finally asked, breaking the silence. Naruto grinned. "Just a style I came up with." "Cool, huh?" Shikamaru raised an eyebrow, but didn't press further, knowing Naruto well enough to recognize when he was dodging a question. One morning, Naruto decided to wear an eye patch over his right eye. As he came downstairs for breakfast, Yoshino gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. "Naruto, what happened to your eye?" she asked, rushing to his side. Naruto chuckled nervously, holding up his hands. "Relax, Mom. My eye's fine, see?" He lifted the eye patch to reveal his perfectly fine eye. She exhaled deeply, her hands on her hips. "Don't scare me like that again." Shikaku, watching from a distance, smirked. "What's with the eye patch, then?" Naruto rubbed the back of his neck, sheepishly. "I just think it looks cool." Shikaku, who had been observing from the doorway, smirked. "You're quite the eccentric, son." Naruto grinned. "Thanks, Dad." Yoshino sighed, shaking her head but couldn't hide the small smile tugging at her lips. At the academy, Naruto often found himself observing the complicated dynamics of his classmates. Today, his attention was drawn to Ino and Sakura, who were once again arguing over Sasuke. "It's ridiculous you both can sit next to him," he muttered under his breath, shaking his head. "What did you say?" Ino snapped, turning to glare at him. "Nothing," Naruto replied with a lazy wave of his hand, rolling his right eye. As the argument continued, Naruto noticed Shino standing off to the side, occasionally glancing at their group. He had seen this pattern enough times to know the boy was curious but hesitant. "Hey, Shino," Naruto called out, waving him over. Shino stiffened, clearly caught off guard. "Come join us." Shino hesitated, glancing at Hinata, who stood nearby. Naruto smiled warmly. "You too, Hinata. We don't bite." Hinata's cheeks turned pink as she fidgeted, but Shino gave her a reassuring nod before they both approached. As they settled in, Naruto made a point of including them in the conversation. "So, Shino, any cool bug stories to share?" Shino blinked, his surprise evident even behind his glasses. "You want to hear about my insects?" "Of course. Bugs are fascinating," Naruto replied earnestly. Shino's shoulders relaxed slightly as he began explaining the abilities of his Kakeichu. Hinata, though quiet, smiled softly, her gaze occasionally flickering toward Naruto. Years passed, and the day of graduation arrived. Naruto stood with his friends as they celebrated their success. "Told you we'd pass," Naruto said with a grin. "Troublesome," Shikamaru muttered, though the faintest hint of a smile played on his lips. As they left the academy, Mizuki approached Naruto, his tone friendly but overly so. "Naruto, can I talk to you for a moment?" Naruto glanced at his friends. "Go on without me. I'll catch up." Mizuki's proposition came with a promise of promotion to Chunin if Naruto retrieved the scroll. Naruto saw through the man's deceit but played along, pretending to be eager. Naruto informed Shikaku of the situation. "We should report this to the Hokage," Shikaku said, his tone firm. "I want to handle it myself," Naruto replied. Shikaku frowned. "It's dangerous, Naruto. You've always said you hate fighting." He quotes what Naruto told him. "It doesn't matter whether you owe someone or they owe you. As soon as you start fighting, you are in the wrong either way." Naruto nodded, his expression serious. "I still believe that, Dad. But sometimes you have to fight to protect what matters." Shikaku studied his son for a long moment before sighing. "Fine, but I'm coming with you." "Thanks, Dad." Naruto's smile was grateful. Unbeknownst to them, Shikamaru had overheard the conversation. He leaned back against the wall, sighing to himself. Naruto's such a contradiction. Lazy and energetic at the same time. What a drag. Night enveloped the rendezvous point. Naruto stood in the clearing, his twin wooden swords strapped to his back. Shikaku remained hidden in the shadows, his sharp eyes watching for any sign of danger. When Mizuki arrived, his sneer was evident. "Where's the scroll?" he demanded. Naruto didn't answer. Instead, he crossed his arms, a smirk tugging at his lips. "Where is the scroll?" Mizuki repeated, his tone dripping with annoyance. Naruto chuckled. He summoned two blades out of thin air. His voice was calm, but carried an undertone of challenge as he uttered a poem. The flowery winds become disturbed. The god of flowers sings. The heavenly winds become disturbed. The devil of heaven sneers. In an instant, a flash of light illuminated the clearing. When it faded, Naruto stood wielding two massive, curved black scimitars. Their silver edges gleamed ominously under the moonlight. Both Mizuki and Shikaku stared, stunned. Mizuki's sneer returned, though it faltered slightly. Naruto tilted his head, his smirk widening. "Forget the scroll. Are you up for a game?" "I don't have time for games," Mizuki snapped. "You don't have a choice," Naruto said, his tone playful yet dangerous. Mizuki sneered, his confidence swelling despite the presence of Naruto's ominous scimitars. "You think some flashy weapons are going to scare me, brat? You've got no idea who you're dealing with." Naruto tilted his head, giving Mizuki a lazy smile. "You know, sensei, I was hoping you'd say that. Makes the game more fun." "Game?" Mizuki asked, his sneer turning into a confused frown. Naruto pointed one of his scimitars at him. "Yeah, I'm a big fan of games. Let's start with something easy. Shall we start with something simple? A game of spinning tops." Mizuki's confusion was evident. "Spinning tops? What are you talking about?" Naruto raised one of his blades and gave it a lazy twirl, a gust of wind emanating from the motion. "This game is called Bushigoma. It's simple. I spin and the wind does the rest. Let's see how well you can keep up." Before Mizuki could respond, Naruto began to spin in place, his blades held at opposite angles. The motion created two arcs of wind that quickly merged into a vortex, forming a massive spinning circle of air. The wind howled as it charged toward Mizuki, who barely leapt out of the way in time. The vortex changed direction midair, homing in on Mizuki like a living entity. It struck the ground near him, erupting into a tornado-like storm that pulled him into its grasp. Mizuki shouted as he fought to keep his footing, his weapons useless against the powerful winds. Hidden in the shadows, Shikaku narrowed his eyes. "That's no ordinary technique. Where did Naruto learn this?" Naruto stopped spinning, his swords returning to rest on his shoulders. The winds began to die down, leaving Mizuki disoriented and battered. "Not bad," Naruto said casually, "but I think you'll like the next game better." Mizuki stumbled to his feet, glaring daggers at Naruto. "Enough of your stupid games. I will kill you, brat." Naruto ignored him, lowering his swords. "This one's called Kajioni. It's a shadow game. The rule is simple. Whoever gets their shadow stepped on loses." Mizuki's eyes darted to the ground, where the moonlight cast their long shadows across the clearing. His lip curled into a sneer. "Shadows? That's all?" Naruto's grin widened as he melted into the shadows at his feet, disappearing from sight. "Not quite. You see, I can hide in shadows and control them." Naruto hides the fact that Mizuki can also hide in the shadows and control them during the game. Suddenly, multiple shadow clones of Naruto emerged from the surrounding darkness, their blades drawn. Mizuki spun around, his eyes wide as he tried to track them all. "Which one's real?" Mizuki snarled, swinging wildly at the nearest clone. The shadow clone dissipated into darkness, only for another to appear behind him. As Mizuki turned, Naruto's voice echoed from all directions. "Careful, Mizuki-sensei. If I step on your shadow, it's game over." Mizuki growled in frustration, slashing at another clone, only to realize too late that his own shadow had begun to stretch unnaturally. The real Naruto emerged from the darkness, stepping squarely onto Mizuki's shadow. Mizuki froze as a sharp chill ran up his spine. He tried to move, but his body refused to obey. What is this?" "You lose," Naruto said, his voice calm but cold. Mizuki screamed as the shadow beneath him twisted unnaturally, rising up like tendrils to constrict his arms and legs. One tendril lashed out, slamming into Mizuki's side with enough force to send him stumbling backward. "Your shadow can be a dangerous thing," Naruto remarked, stepping back into the moonlight. "Be careful where you stand." Shikaku's keen eyes analyzed every move. His worry began to wane, replaced by curiosity and pride. "He's more skilled than I thought. But where did he get these powers?" Naruto stepped closer, dismissing the shadows. "Still want to play?" he asked, his tone almost teasing. Mizuki glared at him, sweat dripping down his face. You're a freak, Naruto chuckled, tapping one of his scimitars against his shoulder. Name-calling Mizuki-sensei? I thought teachers were supposed to set an example. Mizuki regained his footing, clutching his side. Enough of your stupid games. Fight me for real. Naruto shrugged, a lazy grin spreading across his face. All right, let's play Kajiokuri. Mizuki frowned. What's that supposed to mean? Figure out which one of me is real, Naruto said simply. Before Mizuki could respond, Naruto blurred out of sight, and the clearing was suddenly filled with flickering afterimages of him. Each afterimage appeared to dart toward Mizuki before vanishing, leaving him spinning in circles, unsure of where the real Naruto was. Mizuki slashed at one image, only for his kunai to pass harmlessly through it. Another afterimage leapt at him from the side, causing Mizuki to panic and swing wildly. You're wasting energy, Mizuki-sensei, Naruto's voice taunted. The afterimages weren't entirely realistic, faint and flickering like distorted shadows. Mizuki's weak Raikaku, Ryatsu sense, made the game easier for him. Finally, Mizuki lunged at an afterimage, only to feel cold steel press against his back. Wrong again, Naruto whispered in his ear, his blade resting lightly on Mizuki's shoulder. Naruto stepped back, spinning his scimitars in his hands. Let's make this even more fun. Time for Iruni. Here's how it works. I pick a color, and my attacks will only count if they match that color. Let's go with green. Naruto again withheld that Mizuki can use the ability too. Mizuki stiffened, glancing at his own green flak jacket. What kind of nonsense? Before he could finish, Naruto dashed forward, his blade slicing through the air. Mizuki raised his kunai to block, but Naruto's first strike was a feint, drawing Mizuki's defense away from his torso. Naruto followed up with a clean slash across Mizuki's jacket, cutting through the fabric and grazing his skin. Green, Naruto said calmly, stepping back. Mizuki staggered, his hand flying to his chest. Blood seeped through the torn jacket where Naruto had struck him. See? Naruto said, his tone light. If I didn't call the right color, it wouldn't have worked. But since you're wearing so much green, my strikes hurt a lot more. Mizuki gritted his teeth, charging at Naruto with a roar. This time, Naruto didn't move, letting Mizuki close the distance before sidestepping gracefully. Naruto spun, his blade carving through Mizuki's jacket again, creating another deep gash. Green, he repeated, his voice almost mocking. Mizuki dropped to his knees, gasping for breath as his strength began to fade. Naruto sighed, his playful demeanor replaced by a cold seriousness. You made the wrong choice, Mizuki. You could have been a teacher who helped people. Instead, you tried to use me. You lose, Mizuki-sensei. Shikaka stepped out from the shadows, his expression unreadable. That's enough, Naruto. He's done. Naruto sighed, lowering his blades. The scimitars dissolved into black mist, disappearing entirely. You're no fun, Dad, Naruto said, turning back toward Mizuki. And here I thought we could play a little longer. Mizuki collapsed, trembling with fear and pain. You're not human. Naruto glanced over his shoulder, his smile returning. Maybe not, but you should have thought of that before trying to mess with me. Shikaku placed a firm hand on Naruto's shoulder, steering him away from the defeated man. Let's report this to the Hokage. You've done enough for one night. Naruto nodded, his usual carefree demeanor slipping back into place. Fine, but you owe me a game of shogi when we get back. Shikaka sighed, a faint smirk tugging at his lips. You're relentless, kid. Shikaka body flickered into the Hokage's office with Naruto and the restrained Mizuki in tow. The late hour cast shadows across the room, and the third Hokage, Hiruzen Tsurutobi, looked up from a stack of reports with a mix of curiosity and concern. What brings you here so late, Shikaka? Hiruzen's eyes briefly lingered on the subdued Mizuki, his expression hardening. Shikaka gave a tired sigh before relaying the events of the night. Mizuki attempted to manipulate Naruto into stealing the Forbidden Scroll. However, Naruto saw through his deception and dealt with him. Hiruzen's gaze shifted to Naruto, who stood lazily with his arms crossed, clearly unbothered by the situation. The Hokage then gestured for the ANBU station in the room. Take Mizuki to TNI. Let's see what else he's been up to, Hiruzen instructed. The ANBU disappeared with Mizuki in tow. With Mizuki gone, Hiruzen turned back to Naruto, a hint of curiosity sparking in his eyes. Naruto, how exactly did you defeat Mizuki? Naruto shrugged nonchalantly. I beat him at kids' games. The Hokage raised an eyebrow and glanced at Shikaku, silently asking for confirmation. Shikaku, hands in his pockets, simply nodded. Hiruzen chuckled, his laughter filling the room. Children's games, you say? How fitting for someone like you, Naruto. As Shikaku and Naruto walked through the quiet streets of Konoha, Shikaku glanced sideways at his son. So, Naruto, those swords of yours, and the games you mentioned, care to elaborate? Naruto adjusted the eye patch on his face, letting out a small yawn. The blades are a manifestation of my soul, he explained. Their power reflects who I am, my love for games, strategy, and fun. Shikaku raised an eyebrow, finding the concept intriguing. Manifesting your soul into weapons and gaining abilities based on your personality. Now that's something. Naruto smirked, but didn't bother clarifying that this ability was unique to Shinigami. Morning of team placements. The Nara family sat at the breakfast table, a familiar atmosphere of laziness and calm filling the room. Shikaku leaned back in his chair, looking at his two sons. So, who would you two like to be paired with? Shikamaru shrugged. Anyone strong. Naruto gave a lazy smile. Same. As long as my teammates are competent, I won't have to work too hard. Yoshino frowned, setting down her tea with a sharp clink. You boys and your lazy attitudes. Honestly, is it too much to hope for some ambition? Shikaku chuckled. You married into this, dear. Yoshino sighed, shaking her head. Naruto and Shikamaru met up with Choji and Ino on the way to the academy. As they walked, the topic of team placements naturally came up. So, who do you guys hope to team up with? Ino asked brightly. Doesn't matter, Naruto replied. Just give me competent teammates so I can slack off. Same, Shikamaru added, yawning. Lazy as ever, Ino scolded, hands on her hips. Choji smiled, munching on a bag of chips. I just hope I'm with you guys. At the academy, the classroom buzzed with excitement as Irika stepped forward, congratulating the students on becoming genin. Now, on to the team placements, Irika announced, silencing the chatter. Team 7, Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno, and Naruto Nara. Your sensei will be Kakashi Hatake. Naruto leaned back in his seat, muttering, Great babysitting duty. Teammate, Kiba Inuzuka, Shino Aburame, and Hinata Hyuga. Your sensei will be Kurinai Yuhi. Team 10, Ino Yamanaka, Choji Akimichi, and Shikamaru Nara. Your sensei will be Asuma Sarutobi. 3 hours later, Kakashi finally appeared, sauntering into the classroom. Before he could say anything, Sakura immediately began scolding him. You're 3 hours late. The noise roused Naruto from his nap, and he groggily opened his eye. What's with all the yelling? On the academy rooftop, when it was Naruto's turn to introduce himself, he lazily said, Naruto Nara. I like my family, friends, Katen and Kyokotsu, and games. I dislike fighting. My dream? For the world to achieve peace someday. Kakashi raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. Returning home, when Naruto returned home, Yoshino was waiting. How did it go? Naruto sighed, leaning against the doorway. Looks like I'm gonna have to carry my team. Yoshino frowned. That bad, huh? The next day, training ground 7. Naruto arrived first. He took the opportunity to lay in the grass and went off to dreamland. When Sasuke and Sakura arrived, Sasuke's eyes were drawn to the two swords tied to Naruto's waist. Why does this lazy bum even have swords? He muttered, intrigued. Hours passed before Kakashi finally arrived, prompting another scolding from Sakura. Her yelling once again woke Naruto. The test. Kakashi explained the test and the rules, earning glares from Sakura and Sasuke, cause he tricked them into not eating breakfast. When Kakashi asked Naruto why he ate, Naruto simply smirked. My mom told me to tell you that if you try pulling something like that again, you'll have a problem. Kakashi paled, nodding quickly. After Sakura and Sasuke were taken out of the fight, Sakura by Genjutsu and Sasuke by Kakashi's Mole Jutsu, Kakashi waited for Naruto's move. Suddenly, his book was ripped from his hands. He turned to see Naruto standing behind him, flipping through the pages. Kakashi quickly distanced himself. Naruto giggled. Gotta say, Sensei, you've got good taste. Kakashi gave him a thumbs up. Well, Even a ninja needs a good hobby. Naruto tossed the book back. As he unstrapped his blades, he placed them together and recited the release command. The flowery winds become disturbed. The god of flowers sings. The heavenly winds become disturbed. The devil of heaven sneers. A bright flash of light erupted. When it faded, Naruto stood holding two black, curved scimitars. Kakashi's expression grew serious. "What are those?" Naruto smirked. "So, Kakashi-sensei, what do you think about games?" Kakashi tilted his head, his eye crinkling with amusement. "Games, huh? Well, they're fun, until you realize your opponent was playing on a whole different level." Naruto's grin widened. "Good answer, sensei. Let's see how well you play." Kakashi leaned back slightly, his lone visible eye narrowing in amusement as he answered Naruto's earlier question. "Games? I like them, when they don't put my life on the line," he said with a dry chuckle, his hand hovering near his kunai pouch. "But I suppose I don't have much choice here, do I?" Naruto grinned, holding his twin scimitars loosely. "No, but don't worry, sensei. I'll keep it fun for you. Now let's start with the rules. We're going to play a few rounds of my favorite games. Each one has its own twist. Let's see how good you are at keeping up." Kakashi exhaled deeply, adopting a ready stance. "Fine. What's the first game?" Naruto crossed his blades in front of him and twisted his wrists, the scimitars spinning at high speed. "This one's simple. I spin, spin, and spin. Try not to get caught in the wind, sensei." With a flourish, Naruto leapt into the air and began to rotate, his scimitars emitting sharp, cutting winds. As the winds converged into a massive spinning vortex, the grass beneath them was torn to shreds, and small debris flew everywhere. Kakashi's eye widened. "Wind manipulation?" he muttered before leaping away. The swirling winds chased him, forming a tornado that spiraled toward him with devastating force. Kakashi reached into his pouch, hurling a series of explosive kunai into the oncoming vortex. The explosions disrupted the outer layer of the winds, but the core continued to push forward. Naruto's voice echoed through the swirling winds. "What's wrong, sensei? Having trouble keeping up with a spinning top?" Kakashi clicked his tongue and flipped backward, narrowly avoiding the vortex's pull. In a flash of insight, he imbued his tanto with lightning chakra and slashed at the spinning wind as it closed in. The electric surge disrupted the technique, dispersing the vortex into harmless gusts. Landing lightly, Kakashi adjusted his headband. "That was close. So, is this how you fight? Turning children's games into deadly techniques." Naruto smirked. "Games are just more fun. Let's see if you can handle the next one." Naruto stepped back, spinning one of his scimitars in his hand. As he did, glowing, translucent lily pads began to appear, floating midair between them. "This one's called Kiru Jump. We leap from pad to pad, dodging each other's attacks. But if you miss or fall, you're wide open for a counter." Kakashi scanned the battlefield. The lily pads weren't solid objects but flickered faintly, like projections. Testing one, he leapt onto it and felt a faint resistance underfoot. "Interesting," he muttered. Naruto moved first, springing from one pad to another with effortless grace, firing bursts of wind from his blades to disrupt Kakashi's footing. Kakashi countered by leaping higher, using kunai to anchor himself when the pads threatened to fade beneath him. As their movements grew faster, Naruto's strikes became more precise, his scimitars slashing through the air to create waves of cutting pressure. Kakashi narrowly evaded the attacks. "You're pretty nimble for an old man, sensei," Naruto called out, grinning. "You are not so bad yourself." For a lazy bum, Kakashi shot back, using the distraction to feign a retreat before throwing a kunai laced with an explosive tag. The explosion knocked Naruto off balance, but the boy recovered midair, flipping onto another pad. Naruto laughed. "Not bad, but let's kick it up a notch." As the lily pads vanished, Naruto raised his blades, spiritual threads extending from their tips. He manipulated them with deft movements, weaving them into intricate patterns. "Welcome to Ayatori. If you get caught in this, breaking free is going to cost you, sensei." Kakashi watched warily as the threads shot toward him, crisscrossing to form a web-like snare. He dodged the first wave, but the threads followed, bending and twisting unnaturally to trap him. Activating his Raikiri, Kakashi slashed through a portion of the web, only for more threads to replace it. Persistent little game, he muttered, using his Sharingan to predict the thread's movements. Naruto frowned as he noticed Kakashi's movements becoming sharper. Oh, finally using the Sharingan? About time, sensei. Kakashi didn't respond, his focus entirely on the threads. With a burst of chakra, he leapt high into the air, flipping over the web entirely and hurling a bunch of lightning-charged kunai at Naruto. Naruto deflected it with one scimitar. Not bad, he admitted, retracting the threads. But I've got more up my sleeve. Naruto raised a hand, spinning one of his scimitars lazily. Time for the classic. Irony. The rules are simple. I declare my color, green, and you declare yours. Kakashi tilted his head slightly, his eyes narrowing as he glanced at Naruto. After a brief pause, he responded, black. Naruto's grin widened. Great choice, sensei. Now, remember, damage depends on how much of the declared color we hit. I'll be aiming for your green, and you'll be aiming for my black. Kakashi nodded, his expression unreadable as he shifted into a low stance, his tanto gleaming with faint chakra. Naruto dashed forward, his twin scimitars cutting through the... He aimed for Kakashi's green flak jacket, forcing the Jonin to twist out of the way. Kakashi retaliated with a sharp upward slash of his tanto, narrowly missing the black trim on Naruto's sleeves. You're quick, Kakashi admitted, stepping back to create distance. Naruto smirked. Thanks, but you'll have to be faster than that, sensei. Closing the gap again, Naruto launched a flurry of attacks, his blades targeting Kakashi's jacket with pinpoint accuracy. Kakashi parried with his tanto, redirecting the strikes expertly. Using his Sharingan subtly, Kakashi predicted Naruto's next move. When Naruto lunged low, aiming for the stomach, Kakashi leapt to the side and slashed downward, aiming for the black accents on Naruto's back. Naruto barely managed to block, using one scimitar to intercept the tanto while the other swung wide to graze Kakashi's shoulder. The faint green edge of the fabric was sliced, but the damage was minimal. You're getting closer, sensei, Naruto teased. But not close enough. Kakashi adjusted his stance. With his movements sharper and more calculated, he pressed the offensive, feinting toward Naruto's scabbards before pivoting to target the black trim on his sash. Naruto's eyes widened as he twisted to avoid the strike, the blade grazing the edge of the sash, but failing to cut it cleanly. Close, Naruto admitted, leaping back. But let's see how you handle this. Naruto's movements became erratic, unpredictable, his scimitars spinning like whirlwinds. He targeted Kakashi's flak jacket relentlessly, forcing the Jonin to stay on the defensive. Despite Kakashi's Sharingan, Naruto's feints made it difficult to avoid every strike. With a sudden burst of speed, Naruto spun low, his blade carving a clean cut through the green on Kakashi's stomach. Kakashi stepped back, clutching his stomach. Not bad, he muttered, his tone dry. You're not making this easy, sensei, Naruto said, standing tall and catching his breath. But I think that's enough for this round. Naruto's grin widened as he sheathed his blades. Last game. Onigako. Tak. The Oni can attack freely, while the other must avoid being caught to retain their ability to counterattack. Katen and Kyokotsu will decide who's the Oni. The twin spirits' laughter echoed faintly as a black mark appeared on Kakashi's chest. Looks like I am it, sensei, Naruto said, darting away with surprising speed. Kakashi's eye narrowed. So, I'm supposed to catch you? Yup. But if you take too long, the roles switch, and I'll be coming after you. The game began with Kakashi pursuing Naruto across the training field, using his Sharingan to predict the boy's movements. Naruto, however, was slippery, using bursts of wind and agile leaps to evade capture. When the mark on Kakashi's chest began to fade, he realized the switch was imminent. As the mark transferred to Naruto, the boy turned on him with a mischievous grin. My turn! Naruto's speed and unpredictability forced Kakashi on the defensive, the two engaging in a rapid exchange of strikes and counters. The game ended with Naruto managing to tap Kakashi on the shoulder, his grin triumphant. Kakashi exhaled heavily, lowering his tanto. You weren't kidding about keeping it fun, but those games of yours, they're more dangerous than they look. Naruto laughed, sheathing his blades. That's the point, sensei. Games aren't just fun, they're a way to keep things interesting. Kakashi adjusted his headband, I'll keep that in mind. With it, the clock rang, signaling the end of the test. As the clock rang, the sharp sound pierced through Sakura's daze, pulling her out of the Jinjutsu. Blinking groggily, she stumbled to her feet, her vision swimming as she surveyed the training ground. Her head throbbed, but she forced herself to move forward, determination overriding the lingering effects of Kakashi's illusion. Not far ahead, she spotted a figure stuck awkwardly in the dirt. Her eyes widened as realization struck. "Sasuke," she whispered, taking a hesitant step forward. "Sasuke is dead," she screamed, the words tearing out of her throat as she dropped to her knees. Tears welled in her eyes, and her vision blurred as dizziness overtook her. A low, irritated groan cut through her panic. "Dead? Are you an idiot? Dig me out already," Sasuke barked. Sakura froze, the color rushing back to her face. Embarrassment mingled with relief as she stammered. "Why, you're alive." "Of course I'm alive," he snapped, glaring at her. "Now hurry up and dig before I really do lose circulation." Scrambling to her feet, Sakura began clawing at the dirt with trembling hands. It took several minutes of grueling effort, but eventually, Sasuke was free. He staggered slightly, brushing the dirt off his clothes with as much dignity as he could muster. "Next time, don't assume I'm dead," he muttered, his cheeks tinged with faint embarrassment. As the two regrouped, they found Naruto and Kakashi already waiting. Naruto leaned casually against a stump, while Kakashi stood with his hands in his pockets, his signature lazy demeanor masking his sharp gaze. Kakashi's voice broke the tense silence. "Well, I'll make this simple. You all failed," he said, his tone matter-of-fact. Sakura's face paled. Sasuke scowled, his fists clenching. "Sakura, your performance was the worst of the group. As a result, you'll be tied to the stump." Kakashi, as Sakura was about to get tied up, Naruto stepped forward with a cheeky grin. "No need for that, sensei." Kakashi's visible eye narrowed. "What do you mean?" Naruto held up his hand, and two small objects dangled from his fingers, the bells. Kakashi blinked, his hand reflexively going to his waist. The bells were indeed gone. "When did you?" Naruto chuckled, his grin widening. "Let's just say you were having too much fun with the games to notice me snatching them." Kakashi's mind raced, replaying the events of the last few minutes. When did he steal them? During spinning top? Kiru jump? Or was it during Ayatori? No, it must have been during Iruni when I was distracted by countering his strikes. A part of him was frustrated that he'd been outmaneuvered by a newly promoted genin. But another part, one he couldn't ignore, was deeply impressed. "He got me. A fresh genin pulled one over on me, the copy ninja. I underestimated him. This kid isn't just skilled, he's cunning." Kakashi let out a soft chuckle, shaking his head. "All right, Naruto. What are you going to do with the bells?" Naruto turned to his teammates, his gaze serious now. "Before I decide, let me ask you something. What do you think the real purpose of this test was?" Kakashi's brow rose slightly, his interest peaked. "He's figured it out, hasn't he? This kid a lazy genius like Shikaku." Sakura hesitated before speaking, her voice uncertain. "The purpose, it was to take the bells from Kakashi-sensei, right?" Naruto made a loud buzzing noise, mimicking a game show wrong answer sound. "Yeah, wrong." Sakura frowned, her face flushing with embarrassment. "Then what?" Naruto turned to Sasuke. "What about you?" Sasuke's expression was calm, but his voice betrayed a flicker of irritation. "The same. To take the bells from Kakashi." Naruto shook his head. "No, think harder. Why would Kakashi-sensei give us such an unreasonable test? I mean, come on, a group of newly promoted genin against a jonin? That's like asking a snail to outrun a hawk." Both Sakura and Sasuke fell silent, their brows furrowing in thought. Sakura clenched her fists. "Unreasonable, he's right. There was no way we could have beaten Kakashi-sensei. Then what was the point? It has to be something more than just individual skill. Maybe it's about how we work together? But we didn't even try that." Sasuke's eyes narrowed. "We were told to focus on getting the bells, but Naruto's right, it was a setup. Kakashi wanted us to fail. Why? Because we didn't work as a team? That makes sense. I was too focused on proving myself." Finally, Sakura glanced at Sasuke, who gave a slight nod. Together, they turned to Kakashi. "It's about teamwork," Sakura said softly. Kakashi's eye curved into a smile. "Exactly." Kakashi crossed his arms, his tone turning serious. This test wasn't about your individual skills or how strong you are. It was about teamwork. On missions, if you don't work together, you're going to fail. And sometimes, failing means more than just messing up a mission. It can mean losing a teammate. He paused, letting his words sink in. In this world, those who break the rules are considered scum, he continued. But those who abandon their comrades are worse than scum. Sakura looked down, shamefaced. Sasuke's jaw tightened, his gaze locked on the ground. Naruto, however, stood tall, his expression unreadable. Naruto broke the silence, stepping forward. Then let's do it over, sensei. Kakashi blinked. What? Let's do the test over, Naruto said, his tone resolute. This time, we'll work as a team. No solo axe, no selfie-samoves. Just teamwork. Sasuke and Sakura looked at him, surprise flickering across their faces. Slowly, they nodded. Kakashi chuckled softly, his eye crinkling. You're an interesting one, Naruto. All right, let's do it over. And with that, the team prepared themselves for a fresh start. At home, Yoshino asked how the test went. Naruto told her the whole story. At the Hokage Tower, as the final Jonin finished delivering their report to the Hokage, detailing whether their respective teams passed or failed, all eyes turned to Kakashi. His reputation for failing every team he tested made his results the most anticipated. Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage, gestured for Kakashi to speak. Kakashi's signature eye smile was firmly in place as he said, Team 7 passed. A collective gasp rippled through the room. The other Jonin exchanged incredulous looks. Kakashi's team had passed? It was practically unheard of. Asuma leaned back, stroking his beard thoughtfully. It's got to be Naruto, he reasoned. He figured Naruto's unorthodox nature played a key role in the outcome. Kakashi continued, while they passed, there's a lot of work to be done. Their teamwork is shaky, and they'll need to improve drastically if they want to survive real missions. Hiruzen nodded and asked for Kakashi's individual assessments. Sakura, Kakashi began, needs to work on everything. She lacks strength, awareness, and confidence, but she has potential if she applies herself. Sasuke's taijutsu is adequate, and his fire ninjutsu is impressive for his age, Kakashi continued. However, he tends to get heated when provoked, which could be exploited by an opponent. Finally, Kakashi's visible eye glinted with curiosity. Naruto is different. His swordsmanship is remarkable, and his speed is far above genin level. However, his real strength lies in his creativity. His ability to adapt and strategize is exceptional. With the report concluded, Hiruzen dismissed everyone except Kakashi. As the door closed, Hiruzen leaned forward. So, Kakashi, by any chance did you and Naruto play children's games during the test? Kakashi nodded. Intrigued, Hiruzen pressed on. How do these games work in combat? Kakashi explained. Naruto's twin swords, Katen and Kyokotsu, possess a unique ability. They can transform children's games into reality. During the test, we played several games: Bushigoma, Kiru Jump, Ayatori Snare, Iruni, and Onigako Duel. Hiruzen listened intently as Kakashi described how Naruto used the games to force him into complex situations where even his Sharingan couldn't easily predict the outcome. These swords are fascinating, Hiruzen mused, stroking his beard. Do you know where he got them? No, Kakashi admitted, but they're unlike anything I've seen before. After a moment of contemplation, Hiruzen dismissed Kakashi, making a mental note to keep a closer eye on Naruto's unique abilities. At the Nara household, the family gathered around the dinner table. How did the test go? Shikaku asked, his sharp eyes scanning the group. Shikamaru shrugged lazily. We passed. Asuma's test was a waste of time. All we had to do was catch him in under an hour. He ran around for 50 minutes, then just stopped running in the last 10. Yoshino chuckled. Sounds like he wanted to see how persistent you'd be. Shikamaru grumbled but smirked as he thought that Naruto's test might have been harder. When it was Naruto's turn to share, he said bluntly, we failed. You failed to work together. Shikaku. Naruto nodded. You fought Kakashi, didn't you? Shikaku asked. Naruto nodded again. Shikaku's lips curled into a knowing smile. And? Who won? We called it a draw, Naruto replied. Shikaku chuckled. Better luck next time. Shikamaru, envious thought. Lucky Naruto, he's going back to the academy. Meanwhile, I am stuck with ninja duties. What a drag. Shikamaru. Yoshino chuckles as she tells Naruto to stop playing. Naruto explained that they'd been given a second chance at the test. Troublesome, Shikamaru muttered, though his mood noticeably improved. If they both passed, at least he wouldn't have to deal with it alone. A few days later, there's a legend that runs through town, all the way from the capital of the Fire Nation itself. Its yowls send the winds a-howling. Its claws have clawed up many faces. Most ninjas look like hell after they deal with this monstrosity of a brown fur ball with a red ribbon on its right ear. I'm talking about a hissing old cat named Tora that raises hell in Konoha every Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. When Team 7 received the task to catch Tora, Sakura and Sasuke begrudgingly began searching. Kakashi, as usual, stayed in the background, while Naruto disappeared entirely. Flashback. Naruto wandered through the quieter parts of the village, following faint scratches and yowls. Eventually, he spotted Tora perched on a fence, her fur bristling. "Hey there," Naruto said softly. Tora hissed at him, her claws unsheathed. "Relax. I'm not here to hurt you," Naruto continued, his voice calm. Slowly, he extended his hand, careful not to startle her. Tora glared at him suspiciously, but the soft, rhythmic tone of his voice eased her nerves. Naruto reached into his pouch, pulling out a small piece of dried fish he'd swiped for the kitchen earlier. "Here, peace offering," he said, tossing it gently. Tora sniffed, then cautiously approached. She devoured the fish in seconds, glancing at him with a flicker of curiosity. Naruto held out another piece, letting her eat from his hand. Before long, Tora relaxed enough to climb into his arms. Flashback end. On the Hokage monument. As Team 7 continued to search, Naruto sat on the Hokage monument, stroking Tora and gazed over the village. When he finally responded to his earpiece, Sakura's voice erupted with frustration. When he rejoined them, Sakura chewed him out, and Sasuke's glare could have burned holes through him. "Did you sense the cat's distress?" Kakashi asked with a chuckle. Naruto nodded, ignoring the confused looks from his teammates. At the Hokage Tower, Sakura and Sasuke winced as Madame Shurjimi crushed Tora in a tight embrace. They now fully understood why the cat ran away. "Madame Shurjimi, may I have a word?" Naruto asked politely. "Oh, but of course. Anything for the ones who brought back my precious Tora-chan," Madame Shurjimi replied. Tora let out a sigh of relief as the squeezing stopped. "Well, this is about Tora. She feels that her home life is, well, for a lack of a better word, bad. I don't know what exactly she doesn't like about it, but I would recommend that you try and find out so that Tora no longer feels the need to run away from you all the time." Naruto explained. "Oh, my Tora-chan, I am so sorry if I have been mistreating you in any way. Just let me know what is wrong, and I will fix it immediately." Shurjimi exclaimed as she squeezed Tora again. "Ah, madam, I think I know what keeps making Tora run." Naruto's sweat dropped. "Oh, and what would that be, young man?" she asked, ever curious of what she'd do to help her Tora out. "Don't squeeze her so tight. She looks uncomfortable." Naruto pointed towards the cat, whose eyes were bugging out. "Oh, Tora-chan, I am so sorry," Shurjimi shouted as she loosened her grip on the cat. Tora immediately relaxed into her owner's grip and nuzzled into her. "Thank you, young man. I hope to see you again in the future." Hiruzen, observing the exchange, couldn't hide his amusement. Kakashi gave Naruto a subtle thumbs up, silently relieved that Tora's reign of terror might finally be over. A few days later, Naruto's inner world. The setting was breathtaking. Rolling fields of lush, vibrant green grass stretched as far as the eye could see, dotted with colorful flower beds swaying gently in an unseen breeze. Towering trees framed the horizon, their leaves whispering softly as if sharing secrets with the wind. In the farthest corner of this tranquil paradise stood a massive, ominous cage. Behind its iron bars, the Nine-Tails stirred, its crimson eyes glowing with malevolence. Naruto approached casually, stopping a few feet from the cage before sitting down cross-legged in the grass. "We haven't had a proper chat yet," Naruto began, his voice calm but tinged with curiosity. "Don't you think it's about time we got to know each other?" The Nine-Tails chuckled, its deep, guttural voice dripping with malice. "Sha? You think I want to chat with you? I'd rather rip out your throat, boy." Naruto tilted his head, unfazed by the fox's venomous tone. Why can't we just get along? The fox's claws slammed against the bars, the sound echoing like a thunderclap. The force of the strike made the ground beneath Naruto tremble slightly. Get along? With a human? The fox's eyes narrowed, its gaze seething with disdain. You and your kind are nothing but parasites. I curse the day your wretched father, Minato, sealed me inside you. Naruto sighed but didn't flinch. The mention of his father didn't shock him. He had learned the truth about his heritage years ago. Standing up, he dusted off his pants and turned to leave. Well, Naruto said with a smirk as he turned back to the fox, I'll free you, but only if you promise not to cause trouble. The Nine-Tails paused, its gaze sharpening. A lie formed quickly on its lips. I promise, it said smoothly, its voice devoid of the malice it carried earlier. But its thoughts betrayed its intent. Once I'm free, I'll destroy everything, starting with you. Naruto stood before the cage once again, his hand hovering over the intricate seal. With a swift motion, he tore the seal away. The cage shuddered and began to dissolve as an oppressive wave of chakra erupted from within. The Nine-Tails roared, its immense form bursting free. In an instant, its massive claws swiped at Naruto. Naruto dodged the strike with practiced ease. From behind him, Katen materialized. As she hugged him, an amused expression formed on her face. You knew this would happen, and yet let it out, she said, her voice laced with teasing familiarity. Naruto smirked. Ohana, you wound me. How was I supposed to know the big guy wouldn't keep his word? Katen chuckled softly. Because Naruto-kun, you're as clever as you are reckless. Katen vanished, her form dissipating as Naruto unstrapped both her and Kyokotsu from his waist. The Nine-Tails reared back and released a deafening roar. The sound reverberated through the inner world, shattering the tranquility. A violent shockwave rippled outward, uprooting trees and tearing apart the flower fields. Naruto leaped into the air using Shuinpa, hovering above the destruction. His swords gleamed in the fractured light as he waited patiently for the beast to finish its rampage. When the chaos subsided, Naruto looked down at the Nine-Tails, his expression calm yet mischievous. Feel better now? The fox snarled, its massive tails lashing behind it like living whips. Do your worst, boy. I hope you can entertain me. Naruto grinned, the wind stirring his hair as he raised his blades. He brought them together, the air around him humming with energy. When the flower wind rages, the flower god roars. The landscape seemed to darken as an immense power surged through him. When the wind of heaven rages, the god of the underworld sneers. With those words, the world itself seemed to hold its breath. Before the tension could break, Naruto tilted his head slightly, a lazy grin spreading across his face. Hey, before we get started, what's your name? The Nine-Tails blinked, momentarily caught off guard by the unexpected question. What nonsense is this, human? The fox snarled, though its voice carried a hint of curiosity. Naruto shrugged. If we're going to beat the hell out of each other, I'd at least like to know what to call you. Nine-Tails just sounds impersonal. The massive fox growled low, its claws digging into the ground. But then, unexpectedly, it chuckled, a dark, ominous sound that reverberated like thunder. Very well. I am Kurama. Remember it well, boy, for it is the name of the one who will crush you. Kurama. Naruto's grin widened. Kurama, huh? Nice name. All right then, let's see what you've got. Kurama's lips curled into a fanged grin. Let's see if your games can match my might. Naruto vanished in an instant, reappearing midair with his swords coated in a swirling black aura. Kurama's sharp gaze caught the dark energy forming around the blades. Darkness? An intriguing trick. Kurama growled before swinging a massive paw upward. Kurama's claws barely missed Naruto as he used Shuinpa to evade. In retaliation, he swung one of his blades downward, unleashing a crescent-shaped slash of pure darkness. Kurama roared as the attack cut through the air, and with a swipe of its tail, the dark slash was deflected into the ground, carving a deep trench into the field. Not bad, Naruto remarked, landing a few meters away. But I don't fight fair. With a spin, he used Bushigoma, his swords generating a spiraling tornado of wind. The vortex surged forward, its razor-sharp winds tearing through the grass and flowers as it aimed directly for Kurama. The nine tails leaped high into the air, its colossal frame casting a shadow over the battlefield. Kurama countered by inhaling deeply and unleashing a stream of searing flames that collided with the tornado. The two forces clashed, creating a fiery storm that scorched the earth below. Naruto was already moving, appearing behind Kurama with a burst of Shuinpa. His swords gleamed as he swung them horizontally, aiming for the beast's back. But Kurama, sensing his presence, spun midair, swiping a tail toward him. Naruto barely managed to block, but the sheer force sent him hurtling backward. He skidded across the ruined field before coming to a stop. "You're strong," Naruto admitted, brushing dust from his sleeve. "Guess it's time to make things a bit more playful." Kurama inhaled deeply, its chest expanding as chakra gathered in its maw. The air grew heavy as a massive tailed beast ball began to form. Naruto's eyes widened. "Oh, that's big." Kurama fired the sphere, the blast screaming toward Naruto with devastating speed. Naruto raised both blades, their edges glowing with shadowy energy. Dark release. Black veil. A swirling black vortex formed in front of him, swallowing the tailed beast ball whole. The explosion that followed was contained within the void, the destructive power vanishing into nothingness. Kurama's eyes narrowed. "Interesting. You can absorb my attacks?" Naruto smirked. "Something like that. Care to try again?" Naruto crouched low, forming a seal with one hand. His shadow shot forward, stretching unnaturally fast across the battlefield. Shadow Possession Jutsu. The shadow connected with Kurama's, freezing the beast in place. Naruto used the opportunity to close the distance, his sword glowing with dark energy. "Got you!" Kurama's chakra flared violently, shattering the shadow's hold in an instant. Naruto was thrown backward, skidding to a stop as Kurama loomed over him, its crimson eyes blazing. "You're clever. I'll give you that," Kurama said, its voice carrying a hint of respect. "But cleverness alone won't save you." Naruto stood, wiping blood from his lip. "Good thing I've got more than just cleverness." The field began to change as glowing cards materialized in the air, each inscribed with poetic lines. Kurama cocked its head, intrigued by the sudden shift in atmosphere. "What is this?" it demanded. "A little game of Karuta," Naruto replied, his tone light. "Pick a card, match a phrase, and see what happens. But choose carefully. An incompatible match can be unpleasant." Kurama growled, but played along. Its tail swiped at one of the hovering cards. The chosen card disintegrated in a flash of light, revealing a poetic verse. "Beneath the moon's embrace, shadows dance in fleeting grace." Kurama's eyes gleamed with curiosity. "I see a game of wits and speed." It scanned the remaining cards, its tails darting like striking serpents. With a sudden lunge, Kurama chose another card, revealing the second half. "In the darkest hour, even demons seek solace in place." A sphere of dark energy erupted in from the cards and launched towards Naruto. Naruto dodged with Shuinpa. He smirked, twirling one of his swords lazily. "Not bad, but let's see if I can match that." Naruto's sharp gaze locked onto a card. He swung his blade, slicing the air to claim it. The card dissolved into words. "Where flowers bloom, life's essence flows free." He quickly matched it with another, reciting aloud. "Yet even beauty's bloom hides sharp thorns of tragedy." A flurry of sakura petals burst forth, swirling around Naruto like a protective barrier. He grinned, taking the initiative to step closer to Kurama, whose tails lashed through the petals with growing impatience. "You're too slow, brat," Kurama snarled, tearing through the petals and lunging forward. The beast's enormous claws crashed down, sending tremors across the battlefield. Naruto darted away with Shuinpa, spotting another card mid-step. He snatched it deftly and read its line aloud. "In fire's grasp, resolve is forged unyielding." Kurama's voice thundered behind him. "I will take that match." A tail shot toward a glowing card, snatching it before Naruto could. And from ashes, the phoenix claims its gilded wings. The match set triggered a devastating explosion of fire, both combatants leaping back to avoid the inferno. The resulting flames scorched the field, leaving embers flickering in the wind. Nice timing, Naruto admitted, landing gracefully. Kurama huffed, its crimson eyes narrowing. Your games are far more entertaining than expected. Let's raise the stakes. The remaining cards shimmered, their movements becoming erratic as they zipped through the air. Kurama growled in annoyance, while Naruto laughed softly. What's the matter? Too quick for you. Kurama ignored the taunt and swiped at a rapidly moving card. It narrowly missed, prompting a barrage of dark energy spikes to erupt from the ground in retaliation. The beast snarled as it dodged, a spark of competitive fire flaring in its eyes. These punishments for failure, I like them. Naruto, unfazed by the chaos, focused on matching another set. A shadow's refuge, where light dares not intrude. And in that void, a deadly calm exudes. As the verses aligned, the field darkened momentarily. Tendrils of shadow slithered outward, targeting Kurama with serpentine speed. The Nine Tails countered with a burst of searing flames, incinerating the shadows in an instant. Kurama smirked. Impressive, but not enough. It turned its attention back to the cards, its tails moving with unparalleled precision. Within moments, it claimed 2 more cards, their lines completing. The roar of thunder, heralding the storm's descent. A call of nature, its wrath vehement. The completed verse summoned a violent storm, lightning crackling across the sky. Naruto dashed forward, narrowly avoiding a bolt of energy that left a crater where he had stood. The game continued with increasing intensity. Cards flew faster, their punishments more severe for missed matches. Naruto and Kurama matched verses with growing speed and cunning, each move an intricate dance of wits and reflexes. Not bad, big guy, Naruto said with a chuckle. But let's not forget who's better at games. Kurama's booming laughter echoed across the battlefield. We'll see about that, brat. This game is far from over. Naruto appeared above it once again, his swords now glowing faintly as he spoke. All right, big guy. Let's try this, Iruni. Naruto called out, vermilion, red-orange. Naruto's next strike landed with devastating force. The blade strikes, enhanced by the rules of Iruni, cut deep into Kurama's flank, drawing a pained growl from the beast. Kurama snarled, understanding the rules of the game instantly. Its lips curled into a cunning grin. Pink, it declared, targeting Naruto's kimono. The next strike from Kurama's claw, despite grazing Naruto's shoulder, sent him tumbling backward with surprising force. Naruto winced, clutching his side. Clever fox, he muttered. But let's not forget, I don't play fair. The two clashed repeatedly, the battlefield growing more chaotic with every exchange. Naruto's strikes landed devastating blows. In return, Kurama's attacks carried devastating force, each blow leaving Naruto gasping for breath. Kurama charged a supercharged tailed beast ball in its jaws. The swirling sphere of raw energy grew to immense size, casting a violet glow across the battlefield. Let's see if your black hole can withstand this, Kurama. The tailed beast ball collided with the black hole, the clash creating a massive shockwave that tore through the landscape. As the dust from their latest exchange began to settle, both combatants stood their ground, battered but unbroken. Naruto smirked, twirling his blades as he prepared for the next round. Still having fun, Kurama? Kurama growled, its lips curling into what could almost be called a grin. More than I expected, brat. But this is far from over. The flower-strewn battlefield was in ruins, scorched and battered by the clash of titanic forces. Well, Kurama, you're as stubborn as they come, Naruto said, a wry smile playing on his lips. Guess I'll have to stop holding back. You've earned it, Kurama growled, its crimson eyes glowing with feral intensity. If you still have strength left, brat, show me. But know this, I will not fall. Naruto closed his eyes, exhaling deeply as he brought both of his blades in front of him, their tips pointing downward. A solemn air replaced his usual light-hearted demeanor. When he spoke, his voice was soft, almost mournful, but it carried the weight of finality. Beneath the withering pines, shadows dance in despair, a tale of lovers bound, entwined by fate's cruel snare. Come forth, Karamatsu Shinju, and weave the final play, where joy fades to sorrow and all light decays. Bunkai, black tendrils, dark as the abyss, erupted from Naruto's body, curling and twisting like ink spreading across parchment. The tendrils extended into the air, creating the skeletal outlines of pine trees. Behind him, two shadowy figures materialized, their forms indistinct yet haunting, as if drawn from an old, tragic tale. These were the spirits of Katen and Kyokotsu, embodiments of his Zanpakuto, their silent gazes heavy with an ominous air. The battlefield transformed as a chilling aura enveloped the area. The once vivid colors of the grass and flowers faded to a dull gray, and the sky turned an eerie shade of yellow, overlaid with what appeared to be the paneling of a theater stage. The atmosphere became oppressive, laden with despair, as if the very essence of hope had been stripped away. Kurama narrowed its eyes, feeling the weight of this new power pressing down on it. "What trickery is this, brat?" Kurama demanded, its voice tinged with unease. Naruto opened his eyes, now devoid of their usual playfulness, replaced by a somber intensity. "This isn't trickery, Kurama. This is my Bankai, Katen Kyokotsu, Karamatsu Shinju. A tragic tale we're both bound to play out until the curtain falls. Ichidanme, Tamerai Kifu no Bakachiai." First act. Hesitance and apportionment of wounds. Naruto stepped forward, his movements slow but deliberate. He recited the poem softly, as though to share in his suffering. The wounds upon his partner's body appear upon his own. Yet in a cruel twist of fate, he cannot die from those wounds. Kurama felt the shift immediately. It bared its fangs and lunged, one massive paw swiping down at Naruto with earth-shattering force. Naruto dodged with Shuinpa, reappearing beside the beast's flank and slashing upward with one of his blades. The cut left a deep gash in Kurama's side, but at the same moment, an identical wound appeared on Naruto's torso, blood seeping through his kimono. Kurama growled, feeling both pain and confusion. "You are hurting yourself, brat." Naruto chuckled grimly, his hand clutching his side. "That's the beauty of this act. Every wound we inflict on each other is shared. And no matter how deep the cut, neither of us can die yet." Kurama roared in defiance, its tails whipping forward in a barrage of strikes. Naruto weaved between them, his blades flashing as he landed quick cuts across Kurama's body. Each strike mirrored itself onto Naruto, who staggered but pressed on. Kurama twisted sharply, its tail swinging in unison to form a massive wall of chakra. Naruto's eyes widened as he brought his blades up, but the impact sent him flying, his body crashing into the ground. Before he could recover, Kurama closed the distance with terrifying speed, its claws slamming down. The force of the strike sent cracks racing through the earth beneath him. Despite his injuries, Naruto managed to rise, laughing lightly as he adjusted his hat. "You pack quite the punch, Kurama. Nidame, Fanki no Shitone." Second act. The Pillow of Shame. Naruto recited the next poem, lamenting that he has caused his partner such wounds. The man collapses upon the floor in shame and is consumed by an incurable ailment. Black spots began to form across Kurama's massive body. The nine-tails snarled, trying to shake off the effects, but the spots continued to grow. Blood poured from the marks, staining the earth beneath the beast's paws. Kurama's strength began to wane as the bleeding intensified. Its massive form shuddered, and for the first time, it stumbled. "What is this?" it growled, its voice strained. "It's the weight of regret," Naruto replied, his tone uncharacteristically somber. "The more you fight, the more the shame consumes you. That's the story of this act." Kurama roared defiantly, summoning a massive surge of chakra. The energy burst outward, shaking the battlefield and dispersing some of the gloom. But the black spots remained, draining its vitality. Naruto staggered slightly, sweat dripping from his brow. "Sandame, Danyo no Fuchi." Third act, the Severing Abyss. Naruto brought both blades together, their edges glowing faintly as he chanted the next poem. Resigning themselves to their fate, the two hurl themselves into the gushing waters, until no Ryatsu remains in their bodies. The ground beneath them quaked as a massive body of water materialized out of nowhere, engulfing both combatants in an inescapable abyss. The water was dark and suffocating, its currents pulling at them relentlessly. The oppressive atmosphere intensified as the two were submerged, their movements slowed by the crushing depths. Kurama thrashed, its tails lashing out in desperation as its chakra flared in a brilliant, fiery glow. The water hissed and boiled around it, but the abyss refused to yield. The two combatants locked eyes through the murky depths. Kurama's crimson gaze burned with defiance, while Naruto's expression was calm, resigned. The abyss pressed down on them both, demanding an end to their struggle. As the third act reached its climax, the water began to recede, leaving the battlefield in eerie silence. Naruto stood unsteadily, his body battered and bloodied but still upright. Kurama lay collapsed, its massive frame heaving with shallow breaths. The black spots from the second act remained, and its chakra reserves were nearly depleted. Naruto tipped his hat slightly, his voice soft but resolute. "It's been an honor, Kurama. You're one hell of an opponent." Kurama growled weakly, a hint of respect in its tone. "You fought well, brat." As Naruto stood in front of the fallen Kurama, his breathing steady but heavy, a strange warmth filled the air. Suddenly, two glowing figures emerged from the shadows of his inner world, Minato and Kushina. Their presence radiated a soft light, tinged with bittersweet sadness. "Naruto!" Kushina cried, rushing forward to envelop him in a bone-crushing hug. "Wait, Mom." Naruto barely managed before a cough racked his body. Blood spattered the ground as his knees gave way, and he collapsed in her arms. His face turned alarmingly pale. Kushina gasped, eyes wide in panic. "Oh no, my baby boy is dead," she cried dramatically, shaking him lightly. Minato, standing a few paces away, rubbed the back of his head with a chuckle. "Kushina, I think you're overreacting. He's just passed out." Still clutching Naruto, Kushina glared at her husband, tears brimming in her eyes. Their attention turned to Kurama, who lay weakly nearby, his massive body heaving with each breath. Despite his condition, a chuckle rumbled from his throat. "Don't worry, Yondaime," Kurama rasped. "I won't cause trouble again. It's safer for me here inside the boy. Besides, I've no desire to be hunted again." Minato's expression turned serious as he considered the fox's words. He knew what Kurama meant. Remaining sealed inside Naruto meant he will be safe from the masked Uchiha. For what felt like hours, Naruto and his parents talked. They spoke of the past, shared stories, and offered advice for the future. As the light surrounding them began to dim, Minato placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. "Our time is running out." Kushina's voice trembled as she cupped Naruto's cheek. "Naruto, remember, eat well, take care of yourself, and don't let anyone push you around, Databane." Naruto grinned, tears threatening to fall. "I promise, Mom." Minato smiled. "You've made us proud, Naruto, and you'll continue to. You're stronger than you realize." As their forms began to fade, Kushina leaned in and kissed Naruto's forehead. "We love you, Naruto. Always. Love you too." Naruto whispered as the glow vanished, leaving him alone. With his parents gone, Naruto turned to Kurama, who still lay on the ground, his breath shallow. Naruto took a deep breath, his gaze softening. He closed his eyes and imagined the inner world transforming. Lush greenery replaced the barren ground, and vibrant energy filled the air. Kurama's wounds healed in an instant. Kurama blinked, looking around in mild surprise before his gaze settled on Naruto. Naruto walked up to him, a determined look in his eyes, and extended a hand. "Hey, let's be buddies." The Nine Tails studied him silently, the sage's words echoing in his mind. The one to bridge the gap will be someone like no other. Could this boy truly be the one? Setting the thought aside, Kurama let out a low chuckle and raised a massive paw, offering Naruto a fist bump. "We'll see, brat." Naruto chuckled, bumping his fist against Kurama's. Suddenly, Kyokotsu appeared atop Kurama's head, grinning mischievously. "Now that we're friends, how about a game of hide-and-seek?" Kurama stared at her, dumbfounded. "Hide? Where exactly do you expect me to?" Naruto grinned. "No problem." He imagined Kurama shrinking, his massive form condensing until he resembled a fluffy, fox-sized version of himself. Kurama growled, "You've got to be kidding me." When Naruto awoke, his body felt heavy, but he forced himself out of bed. Stumbling into the living room, he found Asuma, Choji, and Ino sitting with Shikamaru. Asuma greeted him with a casual wave. "Good afternoon, Naruto." Naruto yawned as he returned the greeting. Ino smirked. "Sleeping in again? Honestly, you're so lazy." Naruto scratched his head. "It's my day off. Can't I enjoy it?" Choji chuckled. "We just got back from a mission. D-rank. Had to help an old lady move furniture." Shikamaru sighed. "What a drag. Still, I'd take that over anything serious." Naruto slumped onto the couch. "You and me both, bro." Asuma chuckled, lighting a cigarette. "You two are way too alike." Ino crossed her arms, feigning annoyance. "You both could be a little more enthusiastic for a change." Naruto waved her off and headed to the kitchen. While Team 7 continued their endless cycle of chores, Kakashi focused on refining their teamwork. Sakura, lagging behind, was pushed to improve her stamina and taijutsu. Kakashi eventually introduced the tree climbing exercise to enhance their chakra control. Naruto, however, sat to the side, reclining against a tree. Sakura frowned. "Why aren't you training?" Kakashi glanced at her lazily. "The Nara kids learn chakra control early. It's essential for the shadow possession jutsu." Naruto smirked. "Perks of being a Nara, I guess." In their downtime, Kakashi and Naruto bonded over Aika, much to the annoyance of Sakura and Sasuke, who couldn't stand their odd bromance. Kakashi, Guy, and Kurenai were assigned an escort mission for Lord Kamen, a wealthy merchant. During his travels, Kamen had lost his men to an ambush and narrowly survived thanks to Konoha Zumbu. At Kakashi's request, Naruto joined the mission, which Hiruzen approved without hesitation. When Kakashi arrived at the Nara household, Naruto sighed. "I've got a bad feeling about this." Kakashi grinned. "Good instincts." At the village gates, Naruto met Kakashi, Guy, Kurenai, and Lord Kamen. The merchant, visibly shaken, had the demeanor of a man haunted by death. Naruto attempted to lighten the mood with jokes, but Kamen remained distant. As they traveled, Guy's boundless energy clashed with Naruto's lazy attitude. "Come now, Naruto. Youthful energy is the key to success." Naruto yawned. "No thanks. I'm conserving energy." Their banter drew laughter from Kakashi and exasperated sighs from Kurenai, who focused on scouting ahead. At night, the team rested cautiously, with Guy's vigilance countering the oppressive gloom of their surroundings. However, unease buzzed in Naruto's gut as they crossed a narrow bridge the next day. Signs of battle littered the area. Shattered weapons, bloodstains, and torn tents, a grim reminder of Kamen's previous ambush. 3 figures appeared on the other side. Naruto stepped forward, his expression calm. "Do we really have to fight? Can't we settle this peacefully?" Kazuo chuckled, raising his firearm. "Afraid not, kid." He fired without hesitation, but Naruto intercepted the bullets with his blades. Naruto sighed, muttering under his breath. Kurama's voice rumbled in his mind. "Lazy brat." Naruto smirked. "The gunman's mine." Without waiting for permission, Naruto lunged at Kazuo. Ryuji cracked his knuckles, grinning. "Guess that leaves me the green spandex guy." Guy responded with a gleam in his eye. "Youth versus brute strength? I'll take that challenge." As the battle erupted, Kakashi faced Haruka, leaving Kurenai to guard Kamen. "Why are you targeting Lord Kamen?" Kakashi demanded. Haruka remained silent, a cryptic smile playing on her lips. Back with Naruto, he sprinted ahead, leading Kazuo away from the group. "Let's make this fun. So tell me, pal, what is your opinion on games?" Naruto said, spinning his blades. Kazuo smirked. "Games, huh? You think this is a game, brat?" Naruto's grin widened. "Life's a game. You just need to know how to play." Kazuo's eyes narrowed as he raised his weapon. "Then let's see if you're ready for the final level." Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed exploring this What If with me. If you did, please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more videos like this. Your support truly makes a difference, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you'd like to see next. Until next time, take care and stay tuned for more.